Wait, what? What happened? Are you sure?
Suddenly Beth felt her chest tighten as she struggled to breathe. Her heart and thoughts raced as she tried to comprehend the words. She couldn't believe what she had just heard. For a split second she hoped it was just a bad dream, but the stabbing pain in her chest removed any hope of that being true. Her worst nightmare had just begun. She remembered the night she found his Plenty of Fish account on his cell phone. He said he had no idea how it got there. Then just last week she noticed there were friends he kept hidden on Facebook. At the time she wondered, what else don't I know? She glanced at the clock. The screen flashed 11:02 as she felt a dull ache beginning in the back of her head. It had been over an hour since he called and plunged a dagger in her heart with 7 deadly words. I'm sorry. It's just not working out. Sitting on the edge of her bed, she felt sick to her stomach as one burning question kept haunting her. Did he ever love me? Over the next 3 days, all she wanted was for him to return just one of her calls or texts. But his reply never came. Hi, I'm Bob Grant, and as a licensed relationship counselor, I'm hearing more women tell me this story just like Beth. They sit in my office and tell me about the man they loved who told them how deeply he cared for them, and then days, weeks, or even years later, suddenly he falls out of love. The discouraging part is I'm hearing this happen over and over again, and it's only getting worse. As a family man, I'm seeing that men seem to be less interested in staying committed to a woman. Because what I've noticed is that unlike the 1950s, men and women have lots more options. Dating apps like Down give men access to thousands of women just with the touch of a button. Websites like Friend Finder actually target committed, even married men, all with this promise. You can betray the woman who loves you, and she'll never find out. And every day there's more like these. Fling.com, Tagged.com, MySecretLiaisons.com, Swinger Dating Club, Craigslist and their casual encounters, and perhaps the biggest threat to a committed relationship is Facebook. And with all these options, I've noticed a trend that so many men aren't allowing their relationships to naturally develop, and so many women end up heartbroken as a result. For the last 15 years, I've worked with over 1,100 couples and singles, and I've discovered there are 5 distinct stages that create a deep, intimate bond within a man. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to know which phase you're in right now. But before I discuss that, let's talk more about this epidemic I'm seeing. So many women open their hearts to a man because he tells them he loves them and promises his devotion. And yet these same women often miss this key warning sign. For no apparent reason, the passion in the relationship starts to fade away. It's as though the very life of the relationship is slowly bleeding to death. He stops texting as often. He doesn't want to talk on the phone as long as he once did. And he begins to hide things from her. So many women believe they will be safe when they find the right man, but they don't realize the power of these vast corporations that are constantly targeting their wonderful man. Ashley Madison spends millions of dollars making having an affair seem as innocent and exciting as getting a date to the prom. Then there's the app Mixer, which enables you to download, find, and meet someone for a quick hookup in less than 30 minutes. I've heard of so many relationships ending because a man got bored and ended up looking up some of his past girlfriends. A few chats, then some text, and before long he was chasing a dream from the past. The term friends with benefits has become so acceptable that they even made it into a popular movie. There are so many companies that are working to lure men away from staying committed, all in the name of making money, regardless of how many relationships they ruin. Is it any wonder that the Washington Post has reported that there are more single adults than married ones for the first time ever? Before I continue, I want to say, if you're fine with the friends with benefits approach, then this presentation isn't for you. Because I've seen how horribly that ends. And after I listened to Beth's story, I realized that she was like so many women who never realized they are at risk. At risk of having their man fall out of love, of having their families broken apart, of having the man that fell head over heels in love with them in a moment of weakness fall victim to the constant onslaught from the hookup industry. That day as I sat there listening to Beth, I realized I had to do something. I could help her because she met me. But what about those thousands of women I'd never be able to help? What I needed was a way to share this with every woman. So for the next 7 weeks, I began writing out the exact sequence every man must go through to fall deeply in love with a woman. I went back and looked over everything I learned in graduate school. I showed women how to speed up this sequence, and I put it into an easy-to-follow program that flat out worked. When I was done, I sat back and smiled, because I had created the key to make a man bond faster, stronger, and deeper. It's called the bonding code, and I'm going to show you the emotional pathway that opens up a man's deepest desires and creates a faster, stronger, and deeper bond that will knit his heart to yours forever. The best part is, you don't have to memorize all this cutting-edge science or do any hard work. Instead, you just need to follow a few simple instructions, and his unconscious alpha mating sequence will do all the work for you. Here's what's inside. The greatest predictor of how he'll treat you in the future. It's so accurate, no man will ever be able to fool you again with false promises. How to use the expectation gap so that he'll never become bored with you. The tension method that melts away even the worst case of commitment phobia. The most deadly mistake you can make with a man. It's so toxic that can make him question whether he ever loved you. 2 secret ingredients that make any man infatuated with you. Lightly sprinkle these on his heart, and it's your secret love potion. How to use a man's fears of commitment against him. Use my judo technique, the independent switch, and the stronger his fears and doubts, the more intense he'll come running back to you. He'll develop calluses trying to text you every moment when you use the fear bait formula. What to do when he's upset. How to respond when he's angry so that he'll actually feel closer to you and beg your forgiveness for ever upsetting you. The one thing you can't do when he's overwhelmed or distant. It's like kryptonite to Superman, and he'll feel like he's drowning every time you come near, unless you use this secret antidote. Think sharing your feelings brings him closer? It does, but only if you know the levels of disclosure method. It's so simple, women are amazed at how intimate their conversations become. The one quality you must see before you give a man your heart. It has a 98% accuracy rate of predicting how he'll treat you in the future. You'll know the difference between good and bad tension. One will arouse his passion. The other could make him despise you. The exact cocktail of emotions that will cause his mind to go from being guarded to vulnerable. If you leave out just one ingredient, he'll feel like he tasted a watered-down drink. The one emotion that makes a man question his relationship with you. Just follow my instructions, and I'll show you how to use my normalization technique that will make him putty in your hands, and so much more. But now I want to give you the 5 bonding phases that I promised you earlier so you can see where you're at right now. Phase 1 is interest, and to be honest, this is the easiest part. Just glance through a Victoria's Secret magazine with push-up bras, makeup, and everything frilly, and you'll see how easy it can be to get a man's attention. Here's some signs you have his interest. He looks at you when you're speaking. He talks with your friends. He stands within 3 feet of you and doesn't move away, which often leads to phase 2, an emotional arousal. During this phase, you'll notice him wanting to see you more often. His feelings have been stirred up, and now he's looking at you like a hungry bear, and you're the honeypot. But there's a danger ahead, and so many women don't understand this. Because what happens after this point is phase 3, a period of disillusionment, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it's often quite natural, and yet this is where the bonding predators start targeting a man. While innocently scrolling the internet, they'll come upon an ad for Ashley Madison or click on the Plenty of Fish app. Because he's feeling dejected or having some doubts, he could easily give in to their tempting offers of immediate gratification. You'll know you're in this phase when he stops texting you so often, doesn't want to tell you any details about his life, and for no apparent reason he stops wanting to go out as often. He says nothing is wrong, but you can feel him pulling away. In his mind, something is wrong and he can't explain it. He remembers the times when his passion for you was so intense that he couldn't sleep all night, and now he doesn't feel that strong attraction that he did in the beginning. As his intensity fades, he starts to panic. Soon he begins visiting places on the web that entice him to betray his true love, telling him that he should never have any doubts, that they have the perfect woman for him if he'll just go to their website or download their app. And unless you know how to handle this phase, often that's just exactly what he'll do. It's easy to panic during this phase, wondering if he still loves you, or if he ever loved you enough. But if you know how to respond during this crisis, you'll enter phase 4, the testing phase. You're getting close, but just before every calm, there's a bit of a storm. During this phase, he may start getting upset over silly things, like you being late, when it never seemed to bother him before. Begin making excuses for not wanting to see you more often, and express doubts about your relationships. If you make it through this phase, you now enter phase 5, the bonding phase. Now, since you're here right now, you're probably not in this phase. So let me tell you about this magical place. In his heart and mind, he is now under your spell and couldn't be more happy. He looks deeply into your eyes when you're speaking, grabs your hand in public for no apparent reason. In this phase, he has made his choice. You are the only woman for him. Your happiness has become what he most desires, and he's miserable when he feels he can't make you happy. Then it happens. He realizes that it is pointless to look for another woman. He's found what he has been searching for his entire life. Now all he wants is to spend the rest of his life with you. So hopefully you can see where you're at in these phases right now. So now you know you're going to get the emotional connection, and you're going to go through this disillusionment phase. And you must get through this, because this is when your man will be at his weakest. Now that you know about these phases, you can figure out how to navigate a man through them on your own, but why do that when I've already spent thousands of hours researching what has worked for hundreds of women? So how much is this worth to know that one special man is insulated from all the affair predators that will try and steal him from you? Don't think the temptations of Facebook, Mixer, and Adult Friend Finder will go away once he's in a relationship with you. I only wish that were true. There's huge money to be made by these corporations that prey on a man's momentary weaknesses, and they are relentless. How much is it worth to have him fantasize about you instead? Week after week, month after month, and even year after year. How much is it worth to know that no matter what happens, he'll always be deeply in love with you? I've worked with countless smart and beautiful women who ignored my warnings. Then when their relationship hit phase 3, this familiar pattern began. First, she panics. Next, she shares her feelings with him, all of her feelings, just hoping he'll reassure her of his love and desperately wanting him to explain what is wrong. But he can't. Her attempts actually backfire and only reinforce his fears, like putting gasoline onto a fire. Most men don't even realize this secret code, and they certainly can't tell you which phase they're in or how to fix it. I don't want you to ever go through this living hell. So I want to make this an absolute no-brainer for you. Since my one-on-one clients pay me over $1,800 for these life-changing secrets, I'm sure you'd agree that $297 would be completely fair to know how to create an emotional bond that was unbreakable. In fact, if I gave you a magic wand that created the most intimate connection you've ever experienced with a man, you'd give every last cent you had. And I was going to leave it at that low price of $297 until Peggy came to see me. She was recently divorced with 2 small children. They were blonde-haired and blue-eyed little girls that were 7 and 5 years old. Peggy wanted my help because her daughters couldn't stop crying at night. When I asked them what was wrong, the oldest simply said, "Because Daddy doesn't want to live with us anymore." I paused for a moment as her 5-year-old sister began to cry. Then Peggy started crying too. For the next 40 minutes, I sat with this broken family, just trying to help them put the pieces back together. When they left my office, I shut the door behind them and felt my anger rise up within me. Now it was personal. The affair industry had claimed another victim. Their father and Peggy's husband decided that he really wanted something else besides his family. I wondered what would have happened if I had been able to share the bonding code with Peggy before that fateful day. I realized how desperate the situation was. Every woman was at risk unless I shared what I had created. I needed to get this into every woman's hands, so I called my office manager and told her to cut the price to $197. After I hung up the phone, I thought some more and called her back to lower the price again to one single payment of $97. Even though she debated with me for over 30 minutes, claiming I was almost giving it away. The next morning I went to my office, and still the memory of Peggy and her 2 daughters haunted me. As I sat in my chair, I could still see the face of that precious 5-year-old girl who kept asking me, what did I do wrong? I realized I couldn't compete against the affair industry with their massive budgets. They entice me like a drug dealer that offers samples until they get their victim hooked. I can't give away samples like they do. I don't have their vast resources. But I could cut the price down to the bare bones to make it super easy for every woman to protect their relationship from those vultures. So if you act right now, you can have the complete program for an additional 50% off at only $49. I won't tell you how my office manager reacted when I told her about this offer, because it wasn't pretty. She's demanding that I end this discount offer ASAP. So get it now for $49 while you still can. And just to take away every excuse you might have, I want to take all the risk for you because I know how important it is to feel safe and secure. I'm a proud member of the Better Business Bureau with an A+ rating for the past 8 years and counting. I've even made sure your purchase is 100% safe and secure by using ClickBank to process your order. And I'm so confident in the binding code, I'll even let you try it for a full 60 days. That's right, try it first and see if you don't have a deeper connection with that one special man. If you are unhappy with the bonding code for any reason whatsoever, simply return to this site and contact me for a full refund, and my staff will refund your purchase. No questions asked. Since I'm taking all the risk for you, you can't afford to miss out on the pathway to his heart. Just click the button below and you'll get the bonding code for the discounted price of just $49. But this is only a test price, and I can't guarantee you'll get this price if you come back later. Even though the bonding code will melt your man's heart, I also know that some men have been injured in the past. They are commitment phobic, and sometimes they don't even give a relationship a chance to work. That's why I sought out relationship expert T.W. Jackson, who specifically works with men that just can't commit. I hounded him until he agreed to tell me how a woman can literally flip a man's commitment switch, even if he's sworn off ever letting a woman get close. I recorded his very detailed plan called the Commitment Switch. Even though it's worth $49, it's yours absolutely free to keep just for trying the bonding code.
I also have another gift for you called Why Men Leave. In this members-only presentation, I will show you some of the ways women innocently destroy their relationship. If you're not aware of these relationship killers, then you could accidentally trigger his fear of commitment, cause him to misinterpret what you say, and even sow seeds of doubt about his love for you. In this presentation, you'll see how to not only avoid these deadly mistakes, but how to actually melt his doubts before they convince him to leave you forever. This currently sells for $49, but I'm giving you this special training. And if that wasn't enough,
I'll even include a bonus option for a free 30-day trial to the Women Men Adore Club, where I will work with you and a select group of other smart and successful women, so you can ask me your questions about your most pressing relationship needs. With video instruction and access to the members-only forums, I'll be right with you side by side as you apply these life-changing principles. We've already had several members who have gotten married, and while others frequently say, wow, this actually works. Now, these bonuses are worth over $197, but I'm giving them to you free just for trying the bonding code today. All you have to do is push the Order Now button below. You'll have a chance to review your order before being taken to my 100% secure order page. Simply fill out your details there using a credit card, debit card, or PayPal. In addition, I'll also share with you details about my Platinum Level Enhanced training. So look for that after you enter your information. Then in less than 5 minutes, you'll have the secret code that will keep your man from being lured away. So now we're at a crossroads, because only two things can happen from here on out. A, you can ignore this video and stay right in blissful ignorance, content in the belief that as long as a man loves you, he'll never leave you. That he'll never look at Facebook, and the hookup industry won't be able to reach him, ever. And if you're willing to take that risk, then so be it. Or you could make the one decision that could change your life, where you let me take all the risk and try the bonding code and discover how to protect your relationship from the billion-dollar industry that will ruthlessly try and pull you apart. How to create a bond that's faster, stronger, deeper than you've ever imagined. All you need to do to make that happen is hit the Order Now button below this video. If you're still watching, I bet you still have some questions. Here are the most common ones I get. Number one, how quickly will I get the bonding code program? Actually, it's really instant. You'll fill out your information, and then you'll be taken to a thank you page, and then you'll download the products. And if you join the Women Men Adore Club, you'll fill out your information, and you'll create a profile. And really in about 3 minutes, you'll have access to information that will literally start changing your life. Number two, I'm not in a relationship now. How does the bonding code apply to me, or is it just for those in a relationship? That's a great question. If you're single, what you're going to learn how to do is what I call setting the tone. Because if you set the right tone early on in the relationship, or even when you're first meeting a man, you'll actually speed up this process even faster. One of the ways you're going to do that is you're going to learn the right kind of tension that makes not only for such a great first impression, but during those first 3 to 4 months where it's really critical. And even though if you're in a relationship, this is going to enhance it, sometimes that's more difficult depending on how the relationship is. So the good news if you're single is you have a chance to avoid making any mistakes. Now, if you're in a relationship, this is going to tell you exactly what phase you're in so that you can just make a few adjustments to get him back on the course that he needs to be. And these are going to be through emotional triggers. So this isn't going to involve a lot of lengthy talks or explanations. This is not going to be something where you debate him. This is going to be where you use what I call your feminine power, and I mean that in a good way. Where through emotional triggers, he is more inclined to go down the path that is good for him, not because he should, but because he wants you, because he feels inspired because of you. Question number 3. I've read every relationship book out there. How is the bonding code program different? The main idea behind this is that we're doing this in a proactive way, because a lot of relationship advice focuses on communication and trust, and I did this a lot early on, But what I found is that even when couples were talking and they said they trusted each other, I still had men that would leave women. And these were good women, beautiful, kind, smart. And it just was more than frustrating, like the story I shared with you with Beth. It was just heartbreaking after a while. And a lot of these times, these men, they were communicating with women, and they were still ensnared by what I call the affair vultures. And what the bonding code does is it creates like a firewall around your relationship. And because you're able to know where the phase is, you don't have to guess. I won't say ever, but you'll know which stage you're in and then what needs to be done to get it back on course. Question number 5. Bob, this sounds great, but honestly, does it really work? So I thought about this question, and I realized, instead of me telling you, why don't I just show you?